My name's Angelo, and welcome to We Want Picks. This is the only channel dedicated to UFC picks and DraftKings lineups run by professional fighters and MMA insiders. Every week, I join Nick Newell, professional fighter, professional model, and ESPN Top 10 guest, along with Dan Kramer, UFC fighter, Bellator fighter, Ultimate Fighter alumni, and Jacob Lyons, a skinny kid from Indiana. And we break down every single fight, the betting odds, the DraftKings picks, and we set you up for success. Next up at UFC Fight Night, Brunson versus Holland, we have Julia versus Julija. So it's Julia Avila versus Julija Soliarenko. And don't murder me in the comments. This is not an easy name to pronounce. So this is an interesting one. These odds are really far apart. These price points are incredibly far apart. And honestly, this is like borderline coin flip for a fight. This is just remarkable that the odds makers sat down and said, you know what? This is a guaranteed win on this side, because I just do not see that at all. Nick, it's your birthday by the time people are watching this, so I will let you go first. Do you agree that these odds are a mess, or like, what are your thoughts here?
And Nick, let me be the first to wish you a happy birthday out of all three of us. So Angelo mentioned it was your birthday. I didn't hear a wish. I want to wish you the happiest of birthdays, Nick.
Thank you very much. So we go in and we start looking at these fighters, and they have one common opponent in Penny Kinzad, and Avila has the win, and so Soliarenko, I don't want to get canceled, please, has the loss. But like I said before, MMA math doesn't always work like that. I thought Julia Avila's looked very good in the past. She looked very flat against Sarge her last fight, and she really got outworked and outclassed that entire fight. It wasn't an impressive performance, but I've seen better days out of her in the past. I will favor her to win, but her last performance kind of throws me off a little bit on this one. I'm gonna go with her as my pick to win, but with some things moving around and some guys I want that are a high value pick, I might throw Soliarenko in my lineup, even though I think that I will favor Avila, but I think that she has what it takes to possibly get the win, and it might be worth it to take that risk to get some more guarantees in my lineup.
Yeah, I mean, DraftKings wise, and Dan, Jacob, I'll let you guys go. I imagine none of us will touch her at $9,200, and nobody will bet her at minus 370. That seems absurd. Jacob, I'll let you go next. What are your thoughts on this fight? I mean, are you also in the camp of these odds are pretty far apart?
Yeah, I'm glad you kind of led with that, because I thought maybe I would have to talk, and everyone talks about how dominant Julia would be, and then I'm sitting here thinking I think Soliarenko is the better fighter. I think she wins this fight. If you look at her, she is like Ronda reincarnated. Yeah. I mean, first round armbar, 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 first round armbar. Those are most her wins are just first round armbar. She's incredible on the ground. And the thing that impressed me the most is she went 4 straight first round armbars, and her next fight was a 5-round war. I mean, war. If you watch the Soliarenko and it's the Verzosa fight, absolute. I mean, they're both just drenched in blood. War. So she went from first round, and the first time she met adversity, real adversity, she won a split decision in absolute war. Julia is also a killer, and she's definitely going to come forward. And if she thinks she has her hurt, she's gonna try to go wild on her. But Soliarenko has been there before. She's been in the trenches. And I think she pulls out a win on this.
Yeah, the Ronda comparison is it's a good one. I've heard others do that as well, and it is because of those really fast first round arm bars. I see this is a tough one for me to pick. So you're going with the underdog here, Jacob. Nick, you're going with the favorite, just very slightly. I honestly, I don't even care what name comes out of my mouth next. It genuinely is a coin flip for me. The way I see it going is, if Julia wins, it's because she can get it to the ground and be on top and do what she needs to do there. And if Soliarenko wins, she can get it to the ground and she can be on top. And it's a very tricky fight to pick. That's why the odds are just absurd to me. And it's probably because of the MMA math that Nick mentioned, that the odds makers sat down, weren't very familiar with either one of them, looked at their records and said, oh, this one lost to that fighter, this one beat that fighter. That's our winner, cut and dry. So Dan, thoughts here? You're jumping on the train of these odds are absurd.
Yeah, no, it was literally the first thing I watched tape on Avila, and before I even watched Soliarenko, I was like, man, who, based off her last fight, I was like, who is she fighting that she's minus 370 right now? And then I watched Soliarenko's fights. I was like, man, this girl is tough. And she comes out. I mean, the fight Jacob talked about, that was one of the craziest 5-round, the bloodiest battles, women's fight I think I've ever seen. She is not going to be a pushover. I don't think these odds are right. Avila's last fight against Sarge Eubanks, she was a heavy favorite going into that one. I think similar to this. She had won 4 in a row before that. She really could have been 9-1 going into that. I saw she had a loss from like a finger injury. So, but in terms of striking, like, it didn't look like she was an overly elite technical striker. They were kind of rock'em sock'em roboting each other in the exchanges. And then Sarge would just get takedowns at will and dominate on the ground. So I didn't see anything kind of like too overwhelmingly impressive out of that fight. And then the fight against Gina Mazzani, she literally just came out, stormed across the cage, overwhelmed her, and the ref jumped in. It was like the fight never even got started. And then Soliarenko, her last fight against Kunitskaya, I mean, that was probably the most frustrating style fight you could ever fight. She got held up against the cage and just dominated physically by Kunitskaya. And she was trying to do everything she could to mount some offense, but she just couldn't figure it out. But then Jacob was talking about that 5-round fight before it. Oh my God, what a battle. And she came out guns blazing the first round. I'm like, this is a 5-round fight. You come out swinging like that, you're either crazy or you got cardio or both. So I just think this fight has the potential to be, first of all, I think it's going to start out absolutely crazy. They're going to punch each other back and forth. I don't think the odds should be this far apart. I think Avila is the better striker, but both girls can definitely throw heat. But Soliarenko is so tough that I just don't think she's going to get put away in this fight. And she's also live for an armbar at any point on the ground. So I don't think Soliarenko is going to win. I think Avila will probably win. So I'm going to pick her. I'm not touching her in DraftKings. I probably will take Soliarenko in DraftKings for 7,000, even though I don't think she's going to win, because I think it'll be back and forth and she'll score some points. And I'm definitely going to look to put a bet on this somehow, because the odds out there are crazy that you can get for some prop bets on Soliarenko. So, yeah, should be an interesting one, but agree with all you guys. The odds, I think, are way off.
Yeah, and a couple things before we move on to the next fight here. So you've heard both Nick and Dan say, I think Avila is going to win, but I may put Soliarenko in my DraftKings lineup. If you're not familiar with sort of the fantasy side of DraftKings and the cash games, check out some of our other videos. Watch our breakdown video. We'll talk about that specifically. It's not unusual to do something like that. You have a budget to work with, and anytime you have somebody this tough that could potentially win at $7,000, that works well with your budget. The other thing, check out our betting video. We're going to drop that most likely Friday night, because Dan, as you mentioned, these odds are nuts. And you could probably get some awesome prop bets, and not even necessarily for Soliarenko to win. I bet we can find some nice, decision, makes it to the third round prop bets like that to really.
My new favorite bet after last week. I don't think it made the video, but the 3.5 point spread. That means if it's a close decision, you get 3.5 points on the scorecards. So I think I'm going to take that all day with Soliarenko. All she's got to do is win 1 round out of 3.
Yeah, so there's a lot of moving parts here. So we've given you our breakdown of this fight, who we think will win, but check out our other videos for some of the dynamic pieces like betting and DraftKings specific. Before you go, check out the description below. In there, we have links to our Facebook, our Twitter, our Instagram, and more importantly, to our DraftKings League. Check out the league, join the league, participate in the contests. And as we get going and as you start winning, we're going to start handing out gift cards and participating and doing things like that. So check those out. Every week, there are drops on every fight card. So make sure you check out this channel and our social media on Saturday before the fights start so that you have our most updated lineups and picks.